up, guys? So I'm sorry that I have been MIA for quite a while now. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and I wanted to give you guys a DECKER update. So, as you can tell, I'm still with DECKER. I actually am really enjoying working for them, and I did have a few bumps when I first started. Excuse me. My dispatcher and I did not get along, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that and how I tackled the situation and how I ended up getting a new dispatcher and everything worked out. So right now I'm sitting in Hutchinson, Kansas, at the Kroger distribution center here. I'm filled with apples. DECKER actually sent me out all the way to Washington. I delivered vet pharmaceutical supplies out there south of Seattle. Then I did 4 pickups of apples and came back to Kansas with them. So but yeah, when I started, I had a dispatcher. I'm not going to say her name. Overall, she wasn't that she was like a bad person or anything. It's just that sometimes drivers and dispatchers don't meet eye to eye, and that was definitely a problem between me and her. So luckily DECKER has a program, and not everybody is like in it, but for whatever reason I got lucky enough to be assigned a mentor, and I always call her my advocate. She's not really my advocate. They're just kind of like, they kind of like help you if you have any problems, I guess. Instead of going through your dispatcher, you can go through them. And my mentor is another driver, so if I ever had questions about like the Qualcomm or anything, I could go to him. But anyways, I brought the situation to them, and after a little tug and pull, I was able to get reassigned a new dispatcher. And my advice to you, since I'm making this video, if you run into those same issues where you and your dispatcher don't get along, don't I know there's a common like misconception between dispatchers and drivers and how they're the enemy and blah 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 blah. A dispatcher should work with you and your dispatcher and you. It's almost vital for you and your dispatcher to at least be civil, because if you're not civil, like, it can just affect your job in many ways. And it might not even be, I'm not saying retaliation. My dispatcher never ever retaliated on me or anything like that. But it can affect your job. You know, you talk to your dispatcher, depending on what kind of dispatcher you have, you know, as much as you talk to your spouse or your kids. And luckily with my new dispatcher, she hardly ever talks to me. She gives me my loads. She has any questions, she calls. Otherwise, she leaves me alone, which is pretty nice. But yeah, so just, if you don't feel comfortable going through your dispatcher, obviously, to get a new dispatcher, make sure you contact somebody else that may be able to help you, whether it be a higher up, you know, the head of the dispatchers, you know, whatever tools and numbers that they give you, use those. Don't make it into something bigger than what it needs to be. And that's something that I notice a lot of drivers like to do. There's ways to go about getting a new dispatcher. There's ways about going and solving a problem without creating a bigger problem, if that makes sense. So anyways, yes, I have a new dispatcher. She's great. I love her. She leaves me alone, and she doesn't cause me any troubles. She's great. But let's see, what else can I talk about? Winter. It's snowing out here, if you can't tell. So for you new drivers, if this is your first winter, this might be a little bit for you. First, we're going to talk about chains. So I'm not going to go into the whole how to put chains on, because you know what, I probably have to YouTube myself. But here's my advice to you. If you feel like you need to put chains on to drive, at that point you need to stop. You need to find safe parking. Chains should only ever be used to get yourself out of a situation. And the thing about getting yourself out of those situations is that you kind of learn how to not get into those situations, so you can avoid it for next time. Not once have I had to put chains on, and I have driven one winter in a truck. I'm from Wisconsin, so snow isn't that too unfamiliar to me. However, when you're driving in snow in a semi, it is a little bit different. So take it slow, you know, use a lot of caution. If you are feeling in any way unsafe or uncomfortable because the roads are slick, you are the captain of your ship, and it is important that you always recognize that. If you really feel unsafe, then you need to be willing to get off the road, to park it, call dispatch, let them know. If dispatch tries to push you, honestly, at that point, you tell them to F off. Maybe not those exact words, but you and you alone are the captain of your ship. And if you feel unsafe and you feel like you need to park, then park. Do not let them tell you differently. Okay? because I know there are some dispatchers out there that do not respect a driver and how they feel about a certain situation when it comes to road conditions. What might be safe to them, they're not in the truck. Most of them ain't never even driven a truck. So you know what? You could tell them, hey, good luck trying to fire me because the road conditions are unsafe. They're not going to be able to fire you. And, but yeah, so you are the captain. Don't ever forget that. Be aware of black ice. Make sure you are always checking your, I think it's a 411 or 511, whatever. Those apps, each state has their own. So you can check for road closures. Make sure you are checking your radar so you can look for incoming bad weather. So you can trip plan around it. You know, I know a lot of mega carriers especially have their own navigation systems. Well, check to see if you had a snowstorm coming in and you're going right through it, but say it's clear down south, look to see if you can navigate around that storm, because you don't want to get stuck in the middle of it, in the middle of a snowstorm. That's happened to me. Last year I got stuck out on 90 in South Dakota during the snowstorm Ezekiel. They shut down the whole highway for 2 days. I was stuck in a rest area for 2 days. And, but yeah, so ways that you can avoid that, you know, it may take extra fuel, but hey, car dispatcher would be like, look, it's an extra 50 to 100 miles, but I won't get shut down in this snowstorm. I'll be able to make my delivery on time. So can I go on this route? And 9 times out of 10, they can work it out so that you can take a different route. For those of us that aren't given navigation, you know, we navigate ourselves. Just same rule of thumb. Hey, look, make sure you're checking your trip planning, looking to see where the radar is. If you can go around the storm, then do it. But yeah, make sure you keep an open line of communication. If you feel like you need to shut down, get a hold of your dispatcher. If you feel like, you know, you can take a different route, whatever the case may be. But yeah, if you have any other winter driving suggestions for you veteran drivers, feel free to drop it down in the link or in the comments below. I have only driven one winter, so I'm not going to act like I know everything, because I don't. I'm just sharing the little bit of information that I do know and what I did learn last winter. But yeah, so stay safe, be careful, be aware, and be vigilant, okay? And I will try to post a little bit more. I'm so sorry about that. Bye, guys.